Ever since Isshiki revealed his true form in chapter 47 of Boruto, we've always wondered where his unique dojutsu stemmed from and why it's different from everyone else's. However, these questions were never answered, and fast forward a few chapters later, we now have two additional characters with this mysterious dojutsu in question. One character being Kawaki, who was genetically altered by Isshiki's karma seal, and then we have Shibai Otsutsuki, who once housed Eida's reality warping ability known as Omnipotence. And yes, what you're thinking is exactly what I'm implying. I believe that Isshiki's dojutsu came directly from Shibai, and I have the evidence to back up that claim. You see, to understand why this makes perfect sense, we need to understand the mythology behind the character of Isshiki, which would then reveal his link to Shibai and the abilities Kawaki will possess in the future timeline. Now, I've come to the realization that Isshiki was influenced by multiple characters in Japanese folklore, one being Isshin-boshi, otherwise known as the 1-inch boy. And trust me, you need to hear this story to understand why this theory makes perfect sense. Now, it's said that Isshin-boshi was born to a childless old couple who prayed to their god to be blessed with a child. However, the child was born only 1 inch tall and never grew taller, thus the name 1-inch boy. One day, Isshin-boshi said he wanted to go to the capital to become a warrior. So he embarked on his voyage with a bowl as a boat and his chopstick as a paddle. One thing you'll notice is that Jigen's design was heavily influenced by Isshin-boshi's, with him fitted with a robe, simple sandals, and also a rod similar to Isshin-boshi's chopstick. And another thing to note is that the bowl Isshin-boshi used to embark on his journey is similar to the bowl Jigen used to seal Naruto. So again, that's another reference to the Japanese deity. Now, the interesting part about Isshin-boshi's story is when he went on a journey with the princess of the palace and she was attacked by Onis. One of them swallowed Isshin-boshi, but he used the needle he had to stab at the Oni in the stomach, making the Oni surrender. The Oni then spat Isshin-boshi back out before returning to the underworld. Now, during the process, one of the Onis dropped a magic hammer called Ichid no Kozuchi, also known as the wishing hammer from Japanese folklore. Isshin-boshi then used the hammer to enlarge his body to the height of a normal human, and it's also said that he was able to use this mallet to conjure food, treasures, and other things. Now, this part is very important since it ties directly into the abilities of Isshiki's dojutsu. For one, the magic wishing hammer is a standard item held in the hand of the iconic deity known as Daikokuten. The name Daikokuten might sound familiar since it's the name of the ability Isshiki uses to store and receive objects from his pocket dimension. It's also the ability Kawaki used to seal away Naruto. Now, the reason why this is very important is because not only do we have this magic hammer present in two direct references to Ishiki's character and abilities, we also have the magic hammer symbol being present on Ishiki's body and the hands of Kawaki. This proves that Kishimoto did in fact incorporate that aspect of the mythology into Boruto's story. The issue we have here is that the person who has the wishing ability in Boruto isn't Kawaki, nor is it Isshiki. That person is Eida. You see, in Boruto chapter 79, Eida's true ability was revealed, and the name of that ability is Omnipotence. And as stated by Momoshiki, Omnipotence is an ultimate power only an all-knowing almighty god can wield. It's a programming language that the gods were said to have used to create worlds. The will to make anything real, that's what omnipotence is. So in essence, omnipotence is a reality warping technique that allows the user to bend reality to their will. But there's some key details we need to address. Eida was first introduced as a character who possessed a charm ability which basically makes everyone infatuated with her. Well, anyone aside from Otsutsukis and blood relatives. She also has a Senringan which allows her to view current and past events. Eida was stated to have received these abilities after she was implanted with the cells of Shibai Otsutsuki, who was later stated to have ascended to a higher dimension after becoming too powerful, thus leaving his body behind. Amado, who ran these experiments, confirmed that he did not manufacture these abilities using Shibai's cells. The abilities came directly from Shibai himself. This was later somewhat contradicted by Momoshiki when he said that he has knowledge on every Shinjutsu ability in existence, and Eida's charm ability wasn't one of them. By the way, Shinjutsu are basically original divine abilities stemming directly from the Otsutsuki. Now, what Momoshiki said was later backed up in chapter 79 when it was revealed that Eida's charm ability isn't a Shinjutsu ability stemming from the Otsutsuki. It's in fact a new ability manifested by Eida using the power of omnipotence. It's explained that Eida's charm ability is simply the result of Eida's subconscious desire made material by omnipotence, because again, omnipotence is the will to make anything real, and Eida's desire desire was to be loved. So in using Omnipotence, Eida was able to manifest that desire into a reality, thus making everyone infatuated with her. So in essence, the charm ability isn't an ability by itself, it's just a manifestation of Eida's deepest desire. Now Momoshiki also stated that Eida can't control the abilities since she isn't an Otsutsuki, which is why this was all done subconsciously. We also saw this ability being used once again in chapter 79, with Eida accidentally manifesting Kawaki's desire to make Boruto an outsider so it would be easier to get rid of him. As stated by Momoshiki, this current phenomenon is Kawaki's desire becoming reality. He went through Eida and invoked Omnipotence to cause you and him to switch positions. So now Kawaki is the son of the Akage and Boruto is the outsider. Now the obvious implication here is that Kawaki was able to manifest his will through Eida because he's an Otsutsuki. But what if that wasn't the only reason? The truth is that this all goes back to the person Eida's ability stems from, and that person being Shibai Otsutsuki. You see, if we go back to chapter 75 where the character was first introduced, we can see that he has multiple dojutsus, with the left one bearing a similar design to Isshiki's dojutsu. The only true difference is that Shibai only has one active triangle similar to when Kawaki activates the dojutsu. What this could mean is that Isshiki's dojutsu actually came from Shibai himself, meaning Isshiki literally removed the eye from Shibai's corpse and implanted it into his eye socket. We have to remember that Isshiki had access to Shibai's body, and he's the one who gave Amado the cells he could use to create his cyborgs. So Isshiki had the means in which he could complete the transfer. This would explain why Kawaki was able to activate Shibai's ability through Eida. That's because he has the dojutsu that possessed the ability. Now what also points to this being the case is Ishiki's power to grant wishes being hinted at in Boruto chapter 39, when Jigen said that everyone's wishes will be granted. This was of course in regards to Amado joining Kara with the promise that Jigen would in fact resurrect his daughter. We then found out later on in the anime that Jigen/Isshiki had promised to fulfill the wishes of all the members of Kara. Now the real reason why Isshiki never truly used his wishing ability is unknown, but what we can assume is that it was because he never had the chance to resurrect in his perfect vessel, Kawaki. It's likely that he needed a stronger body to wield that power, which is why he alluded to granting everyone's wishes after sacrificing himself to the god tree and resurrecting in Kawaki's body. This simply means that Jigen's body wasn't strong enough to use the jutsu, nor was the half of Ishiki's body that remained attached to his brain. Now to further back up this theory, the wishing mallet is also said to grant 8 other unique abilities. These are size manipulation, life manipulation, matter manipulation, gravity manipulation, summoning, reality warping, duplication, and mind manipulation. Now take that with a grain of salt, but some of these abilities were indeed used by Isshiki at some point in the story. We see size manipulation in play when Isshiki uses the ability called Tsukinai Kona to alter the size of his body and the size of other objects. We see some sort of life manipulation where Isshiki was able to tell the exact amount of time he had to live in real time, and could also see the life force as well. Well, I guess that's more so life observation, but you get what I mean. Now matter manipulation would be Isshiki being able to materialize his rods out of nothingness. We've seen him use gravity manipulation to alter the pressure of his cube when Boruto tried to save Sasuke. We've also seen him suspend the pillars he shrunk in mid-air and also suspend the cover of the ceiling pot he used on Naruto. We've also seen him post-timeskip Kawaki use this ability to seemingly lift the rocks of the surrounding dismantled landscape in Boruto's opening. As for summoning, we've seen Isshiki use this ability to summon Kawaki to the battlefield after detecting that his chakra was connected to Naruto's. We've also seen Jigen use his duplication ability to create an exact replica of the table and food that was before him after Delta destroyed it in a fit of rage. We've also seen him use this ability to mass produce his chakra rods in cubes after only creating a few of them. And also at one point we saw Isshiki using mind manipulation to take over the mind of Jigen when he first entered his body. As for the ability to warp reality, we haven't seen that in play as yet, but I presume that's where the wishing ability comes in. Also, the passive effect of the hammer is to dull one's senses, which again links back to Naruto's sensing abilities being distorted when fighting Isshiki. Now what we know about Kishimoto is that he will take inspiration from folklore, but he's always going to add his twist to it, and normally in the form of a dojutsu similar to the Renegon and the Samsara. So what we know for sure is that Isshiki doesn't have a magical hammer, and whenever he does use his abilities, the effects are shown in his right eye, which means that his dojutsu serves as the conduit for these abilities. Additionally, these abilities seem to be represented by the Dharma wheel-like spokes or triangles the eye is comprised of. If we count all of them, we'll see that Isshiki has 8 spokes in his eyes along with 8 magatamas on his cloak, which likely represents the 8 paths power similar to the Renegon and the 6 paths. What's more damning here is that the 8 paths is taken from real-life Buddhist principles in the form of the 8 paths fold. What's interesting about this is that the 8 paths fold is stated to be an early summary of the path of Buddhist practices leading to the liberation from samsara, the painful cycle of rebirth in the form of nirvana. And as I mentioned earlier, the Renegon was molded from the samsara, which again is known as the concept of rebirth and the cyclicality of all life, matter, and existence. The samsara is also sometimes referred to with the terms or phrases such as transmigration, reincarnation, or the karmic cycle. Then we have the 8 paths fold, which as stated above refers to the path leading to the liberation of samsara, thus being liberated from the painful cycle of rebirth. Now, which character do we know of that transcended the physical realm, leaving his body behind, thus no longer needing to undergo the painful process of karmic resurrection? Well, that person would be Shibai Otsutsuki, which again leads us to his dojutsu, which represents the 8 paths fold, the path to nirvana. Why would Isshiki have such a dojutsu when he himself has not attained nirvana? It's more likely that he stole this dojutsu from the body of Shibai and made it his own because he wanted to wield the power for himself. This power was later passed down to Kawaki through karma, which likely means that he will be able to use that ability at some point in the future. What I also found weird is how Isshiki is the only Otsutsuki aside from Shibai who has different dojutsus in each eye socket. Everyone else had a pair of the same eyes, but Isshiki seems to be mixed with something else, but you probably get the point. And that's basically it for the theory itself. Now I want to give a quick shout out to Bradley Walsh 948, who basically gave me the idea for the theory itself and pretty much forced me to think about a lot of stuff in Boruto. So hats off to Bradley for noticing something so unique, because I really do think it's pretty important to the story itself, because everyone has been talking about like Boruto being influenced by Shibai's cells, saying that Toneri gave Boruto Shibai's cells, but no one has been talking about like Kawaki's dojutsu that much, right? Where does it come from? How did Isshiki get it? Why does Isshiki have one weird dojutsu in one eye and has a regular Byakugan in the other? He doesn't have a third eye either. So it's just kind of weird how Isshiki himself is set up. And then you have Shibai as well, because he also has multiple dojutsu. So he has like a Renegon in his forehead, then he has like a Byakugan or maybe a Jogan in the right eye, then on the left he has the same dojutsu as Isshiki. It's so weird that they put it on the left and Kawaki's is also on the left. It's also, I find that kind of funny. So I don't know, it's an interesting theory, which it maybe not play out this way, but I do believe that it will. Everything just points to Isshiki or Kawaki, this specific dojutsu, having that ability. It's literally a counter to everything, and it's so weird. It's so interesting how Kishimoto like incorporated the 8 folds into the story, because as I mentioned earlier, it's the thing that conquers samsara. It's the thing that destroys the cycle of death and rebirth. It's true nirvana. And then he literally has a character named Shibai who transcended, who was mentioned to undergo multiple karmic resurrection, which again is the cycle of samsara, but then he ascended to a higher plane. He no longer needs to do that. He achieved true nirvana, which again is the 8 folds. And again, we see Isshiki having 8 path symbols on his body and also has a dojutsu with 8 triangles. It's kind of weird. I don't know, bro. Maybe Isshiki is related to Shiba. Maybe he didn't steal his eye. Maybe Isshiki is just his brother or whatever, you know. Maybe they ate from the same tree. Who knows? But I do find this theory quite interesting. So let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. As I said in my prior videos, I will start doing like Boruto arc reviews, so look out for that video by Friday or Saturday, because it's gonna be the full arc. The first arc is the versus Momoshiki arc, which is 10 chapters, and holy moly, like Boruto chapters are literally like 40 pages. I don't know why an arc is 10 chapters when the pages are literally that much. Like you have like JJK, an entire arc is like maybe 3-4 chapters and it has like half the pages, so it's really hard to do like an arc review for Boruto. It takes a long period of time, so I'm gonna like take my time. I was planning to rush it and just get it out by tomorrow, but I thought to myself like it doesn't make sense to do that, because again like the video is gonna be very long, so I might as well take my time to make it good, right? So look over that video maybe next week. Of course we're gonna have like videos in between just like this one, of course. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, drop a like if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.